Sorry about that, everybody. I had some technical difficulties there. Now I am back with the tropical weather update. Sorry about all that inconvenience. I just realized it wasn't showing up here on my live stream feed, so now it is. It should be on the live stream feed now. So if it is not, please let me know. But right now, I do believe I am live streaming with showing the desktop now with showing the satellite imagery. So if it is, please drop that in the chat. I am very sorry about that inconvenience. But we are still currently looking at tropical weather here across portions of the Gulf, getting into portions here of the Caribbean and the Southern Atlantic. What I was talking about here before is that there is actually a climatologically starting to see an uptick in the tropical weather and hurricane season type of stuff across portions of the Bay of Campeche, into the Gulf of Mexico, and across the Caribbean here in the Southern Atlantic here as well. And then looking over to the Eastern Pacific as well, we're really starting to get in toward the peak months here of the tropical weather across those areas, and kind of evens out all the way through the fall months, and that is where here we start to see the active weather in the Eastern Pacific really start to heat up as we head through the rest of July, getting into July, through July, and then getting into August and September and October here as well. So that is definitely something to watch. Now, kind of looking, like I said, at these systems here, you got the one off the coastal Texas here with some heavy rainfall. You got the system here that's pretty robust, 90% chance here of development of a stronger tropical system, and possibly even into a hurricane. A Category 1 hurricane is not out of the realm of possibility as it moves to the west here towards Costa Rica, towards Central America, and Nicaragua here as well as we head towards the next few days. And then behind that, a 10% chance of development with a lot more sheer kind of tearing the system apart, or this open wave apart, as it approaches portions here of the Lesser Antilles and getting in toward the Windward Islands here as well. So let's look here at kind of the general idea of how much rainfall we can expect here across portions of the Gulf and portions here of coastal Texas. Now, this is the GFS's operational model, and you can see here through the next few days a lot of rainfall here. This is going through this weekend here, late on Saturday here around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Still seeing some rainfall down here across Texas and Louisiana, and then starting to see some more rainfall here continuing across Florida here during this time frame. And as you look down here with all the accumulation here, the GFS is showing additionally a couple more inches of rainfall here on the order of 2 to 3 inches here across portions of the Houston area, getting down across coastal southeast Texas, coastal southwestern Louisiana, getting up toward Lake Charles with an inch or so of rainfall as we head towards portions here of the next few days. So that is definitely something to watch. Hey there, Snowies. Hope everything's hope you're having a great day out there today. Happy Thursday. I'm just kind of going over some tropical weather update here with very active tropics across the Eastern Pacific, the Gulf of Mexico, and then looking down through the Caribbean with a major system starting to develop across portions of the Caribbean, and this will be moving westward towards Costa Rica, Central America itself, and Nicaragua here, the country of Nicaragua, and into portions of Costa Rica and just Central America in general over the next few days. So I'm kind of covering that. Right now, I'm covering just the heavy rainfall potential across Florida, getting into Louisiana, coastal Texas here over the next few days. If you have any questions, Snowies, or anybody else here that is joining my live chat, my live stream, just kind of drop it in the live chat, any of your questions. I will also be covering severe weather potential that will be starting to increase across the Midwest, the Great Lakes, southeastern portions of Canada, as well as portions of the Ohio Valley as we head into early and especially through the middle and late next week, as we have an active severe weather pattern starting to set up here once again across those areas. I'll be covering that here momentarily. But kind of looking at the GFS's model, we do have some storminess here up in portions of the middle Missouri Valley. I'll be talking about that here momentarily. I'm kind of just doing a live stream today for about a half an hour to an hour here tops, just kind of giving you a general outline, kind of a general update on all the severe weather potential, as well as all the active tropical weather here as well. So do bear with me as I'm kind of going to go through model data, some other stuff here, kind of climatology of all of this here regarding severe weather climatology, and also tropical climatology as well over the next few minutes to half an hour or so. Yeah, your friend might, depending on where your friend is, if your friend lives in Central America, if she lives in Costa Rica or Nicaragua or somewhere in the Central America, you definitely have to watch out for some, major tropical system snowies over the next, few days or so, as there definitely could be, some wind with that, but mainly a very heavy and torrential rainfall threat for portions of Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and portions of the surrounding areas in Central America. Maybe some landslides, some mudslides. I know that's a lot of hilly and mountainous terrain across those areas, so definitely some runoff potential across those areas. But let's kind of look at coastal Texas here. Like I said, the GFS showing some robust values here for rainfall. Let's go over the European model. Still even more bullish is the European model here. Not as bullish across Florida, but really in general, the Gulf Coast here from coastal Texas on over here into portions of Louisiana, southern Mississippi, getting into portions of southern Alabama, and kind of the Florida Panhandle, really starting to see some heavy rainfall, kind of an effect of this tropical wave, or kind of a borderline tropical depression here, if you will, across portions of coastal Texas. So around the Corpus Christi area and just north and east toward Houston, getting up toward Lake Charles, and then over toward New Orleans, Mobile, Alabama, Panama City, some pretty heavy rainfall. The heaviest rainfall is definitely going to be centered around Houston, getting into Lake Charles definitely for this period. Hello, Arctic. Hope you're having a great day today. I'm just kind of going over some of the tropical weather and then kind of going over the severe weather, as we'll really start to have an active severe weather pattern as we head into the early portion of next week, and definitely here as we head toward late next week across the Midwest, the southern Great Lakes, the western Great Lakes, and even the Ohio Valley, and even southeastern Canada could actually see some active weather as well as we get into the portions of next week. So I'll be covering that, kind of doing a live stream for the next half hour, kind of covering this, looking at over model data, kind of climatology of the tropical weather, and also climatology of severe weather as well, kind of giving you the general picture of what you can expect through your holiday weekend here, your July 4th weekend, July 4th itself, and then heading into the period after July 4th through the following weekend as well in this live stream. So if you have any questions in the chat, definitely drop any questions down there regarding tropical weather and severe weather. I'll definitely be able to answer those here. And also remember to subscribe to my channel if you have not already, as I am trying to hit my goal of 200 subscribers here by July 4th. So do definitely please help me out there. That would be very appreciative. And if you have any family and friends that might benefit here from my live stream or any of my long-range weather forecast videos that I update daily on my YouTube channel, I definitely will be able to provide them with that update as well moving forward the next several weeks and months as well. So definitely help me out, and I definitely appreciate everybody that has joined my live stream today and the live stream last time, as my first live stream last time did go over pretty well. I think it was a lot of fun. I definitely enjoyed all the questions out there, all the comments here. So that is something I looking forward to, with more active severe weather across portions of the Midwest, kind of getting to talk to you guys about all this weather, kind of if any interested people here in weather or meteorology, kind of giving them more insight on what to expect. So kind of getting back here to the European model, starting to see some heavy rainfall anomalies across southeastern coastal Texas, getting into Louisiana here for this period. And then as we look at the CMC, now this is kind of a medium range model generally, but it does give you kind of a general picture of what you can expect here. The CMC is more kind of in depth with how much rainfall you can expect during this period. And you can see here a little lesser values, but still in the general idea here of, some heavier rainfall across coastal Texas, getting across the Gulf Coast through the next few days and through the next week or so. So definitely some heavy rainfall, even showing some heavy rainfall with the CMC model across portions of southern, South Carolina, getting into coastal Georgia there, and the east coast there of Florida as well, especially up toward Jacksonville Beach, getting up towards Savannah, Georgia, and portions there of, Charleston, South Carolina, and then on up toward Myrtle Beach, maybe some heavier rainfall there as well. So let's kind of look back here at the satellite here, and this is the satellite imagery of what is happening right now. We got that frontal boundary that I'll be talking about here in a minute, with a severe weather potential across the upper Midwest and portions here of the upper Great Lakes. But then here you can see all that rainfall and all that kind of, semi-organized tropical weather across portions of coastal Texas, getting into coastal Louisiana and the southeast. And then you got all the tropical, entities and severe weather potential mixed in with that, with mainly heavy rainfall and some wind with that system here north of portions of Colombia, moving towards Central America, Nicaragua, as well as Costa Rica during the next few days. And then you got another 10% low chance here of another system developing, kind of a sheared out system, if you will, across portions here just to the east of the Windward Islands and portions of the Lesser Antilles as well. Yeah, Snowies, I'm sure you're definitely wanting some rainfall up there in Toronto area. I mean, you guys, I'm not sure how dry you are. I'll have to kind of look at, I don't know if you guys have a drought monitor or not up there in Canada, but how dry is it up there? Your grass is starting to dry out, or you guys kind of still have some green grass up there? You'll have to let me know. But yeah, you guys definitely could use some thunderstorms, and I think you might get into potentially close to the active storm track or just to the north of that active storm track if you live into southeastern Canada and Toronto here as we head into next week. It's all dependent on how amplified the ridge is. What a ridge is generally a high pressure system that develops and kind of could amplify further. So what I say by amplify means how deep it is, like how hot temperatures get, and depending on how far north that ridge gets with the high pressure, depending will kind of steer that storm track, north or south across the Great Lakes or even portions of southeastern Canada here as well. So definitely something to watch. Yeah, same here. I mean, where I live here in northern Illinois, there's definitely there's green grass here as well. We did have some rainfall, and I quote the word some. We haven't had a lot of rainfall here. We're kind of getting back into a drought. Our drought monitor is more abnormally dry, so we're kind of getting some crunchy grass, some browner spots on the grass as well across portions of northern Illinois, really in a widespread fashion. I mean, I haven't seen any just complete green grass anywhere. I think there's some crunch in the grass anywhere you go, but just generally, I think it's more of 70-30. I think you have 70% of green grass here and 30% brown, so it's not too bad yet. But if we don't get any rainfall soon, as we're hitting toward the peak of the summer, the sun angle's higher, you're definitely going to see a lot of more crunch, especially even into Canada as well, as the sun angle really starts to kind of grow higher as well. And then let's kind of look at the severe weather today, shall we? The Storm Prediction Center here has highlighted portions of the upper Midwest with a slight risk of severe weather here from the UP of Michigan, getting down through north central Wisconsin, and then down through portions of southeastern Minnesota and northern and northeastern Iowa here today. This does include Wisconsin Dells, getting on up here towards portions just to the north and west of Green Bay, up toward Eau Claire, Wisconsin, Stevens Point, getting all the way down towards Rochester, Minnesota, Waterloo, Iowa, and then just to the north and west here of Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin, up toward the La Crosse area. So if you live in those areas, you are under that slight risk for severe weather through the next few hours here with that severe weather threat. There is that 2% chance of tornadoes here across portions of the UP of Michigan, extending down into the Eau Claire, Wisconsin area, La Crosse, Wisconsin, portions here of the Wisconsin Dells, Stevens Point, and then getting down towards Rochester, Minnesota, Waterloo, Iowa, portions there as well. Just to the north and west of Prairie du Chien, that 2%, very low end tornado risk, not really looking at a big deal with that tornado risk here today. Kind of going along with those marginal and slight risk zones. In that marginal risk, you have that 5% chance here of damaging winds around 60 miles per hour or a little stronger potentially. A little higher potential of severe weather and damaging winds across portions of the UP of Michigan, getting down into north central Wisconsin, southeastern Minnesota, and portions there of northern and northeastern Iowa as well. With that slight risk zone, you have that 15% chance here of some damaging winds across those areas. And then you have a 15% chance of, large hail, that quarter-size hail or larger potentially across the UP of Michigan, getting into northern Wisconsin here through the next few hours as well. And then you have that 5% chance here of hail getting down into Iowa, eastern Nebraska here towards portions of Omaha, Lincoln, Nebraska, getting on up towards portions of Rochester, Minnesota, near Madison, Wisconsin, getting down toward Prairie du Chien, Green Bay. Those areas here have a threat for some large hail that could be, quarter size hail, 1-inch hail, or potentially larger here if we can get some more robust storms to develop today across those areas. Then as we head into tomorrow, and like I said, that active period will really start to take shape across the northern U.S. once again here, as we have that ridge starting to develop across the central and southern plains and across the southeast, and along the northern and northeastern periphery of all that heat and humidity. You're definitely going to start to see here more of that active storm track, and eventually will turn more active as we head into next week here. I'll touch on that here in a moment. But the Storm Prediction Center's Day 2 outlook, they have upgraded portions of the northwestern plains across southwestern South Dakota, northeastern portions of Wyoming, getting into far northwestern Nebraska, into a slight risk of severe weather, with kind of a marginal risk extending down into far eastern Colorado, western portions of Kansas, as well as southwestern portions there of Nebraska. Another kind of boundary as a cold front starts to drop south tomorrow here very slowly across the middle Missouri Valley and Illinois Valley. There's another marginal risk extending from western Indiana, south central Illinois, including the Springfield area, and just to the west of Indianapolis, all the way over across portions of central Missouri into east central portions there of Kansas, just to the south of Kansas City proper, with that marginal risk tomorrow. And then another marginal risk zone here across New York State, getting down to northwestern PA of Pennsylvania, and then into portions there of eastern Ohio as well, including near the Pittsburgh area, getting up towards Buffalo, some severe weather in isolated fashion as we head into tomorrow. Less than 2% here of tornadoes tomorrow, so really, again, not a big tornado risk here tomorrow in any of these areas. I wouldn't be surprised if they do include maybe a 2% area here across some of these zones tomorrow, one or two of these zones in their new update, but I'm not expecting anything too significant. And then the wind threat here, kind of going along with those marginal and slight risk zones here, that 15% wind threat here tomorrow across southwestern South Dakota, getting into northwestern portions of Nebraska and eastern and northeastern Wyoming. And then you have that 5% wind risk here extending down to the south into far eastern portions of Colorado, west central Nebraska, getting into western Kansas. And then along that cold front here, the surface cold front, as it shifts to the south across the Illinois Valley and middle Missouri Valley, as well as the central plains, you'll have that 5% risk here of some damaging winds along that front, as well as kind of the eastern edge of that front across portions of interior New England and the southeastern Great Lakes during that period as well. And then the same holds true with the hail, except lower hail risk here across that slight risk zone, mainly just a 5% chance of hail across those zones here from the northwestern and central plains on over towards the Illinois Valley and the mid-Missouri Valley, and getting up towards the northeast here in the southeastern Great Lakes, interior New England, as well as we head into tomorrow. And then looking here at day 3, I know we're kind of stretching it a little. There's another slight risk of severe weather across the northeast here from Massachusetts, including Boston. Higher population across the northeast here having that slight risk here of severe weather, that 15% chance of severe weather as you head into your Saturday, heading into the 4th of July weekend here, the start of the weekend there. This includes Boston, Massachusetts, through much of the state of Massachusetts, getting down towards Rhode Island, Connecticut, northern New Jersey, southern portions of New York State, getting down toward New York City, eastern portions there of Pennsylvania, maybe the Philadelphia area, getting down towards Baltimore. Those areas could have some severe weather with that marginal risk kind of extending around that. And then kind of another marginal risk starting to develop across the Dakotas, especially across North Dakota and northern and northeastern South Dakota as we head into your Saturday time frame as well, with generally that 5% chance here of severe weather across those areas. And that could mark the start of what could be an active MCS pattern, a mesoscale convective systems that'll really start to originate across the northern plains and drop to the southeast along an instability gradient as we head into the early and middle portion of next week here. I'll touch on here in just a moment. But let's kind of go through some of the model forecasts and what we're kind of expecting over the next couple days and today with some severe weather. So looking kind of at the high resolution rapid refresh model here, or the HRRR as we call it, we have a cold front dropping down through Wisconsin here as we head through the day today. This is about 5 o'clock here, kind of showing some consistency with the radar kind of looking quiet right now. There is a severe thunderstorm watch, I do want to note, across portions of northern Wisconsin that does go in effect until 10 o'clock. I think that also includes parts of the UP of Michigan as well, if I'm not mistaken. That is until 10 o'clock this evening. But the HRRR model has actually not really developing a lot here through the evening hours. So even though there's a severe thunderstorm watch across these areas, we're not seeing a lot of severe weather activity really developing across this area, kind of a lack of forcing. This is kind of a weak cold front moving to the south, so not seeing a lot of lift along the cold front. And there's also a capping inversion on the atmosphere as well, which is as you go up into the mid levels of the atmosphere, there's kind of a warm layer aloft here in the 500 millibar to 700 millibar layer, and what that is actually suppressing a lot of the taller, clouds from growing tall with those strong updrafts, and that's why you're having more of that isolated threat today as we head through the afternoon with that strong cap in place. So the HRRR not showing much here excitement with the severe weather today. Let's kind of look at the NAM model. This did just come out here recently. And the NAM model has a little more coverage of storms, but still not getting too, excited about any severe weather. Still have to watch for some isolated to maybe widely scattered instances of, severe weather across these zones heading in towards, this afternoon and into the rest of the afternoon and in through the evening hours. But again, nothing too significant, I don't think, across, portions of, Wisconsin, the UP, getting down towards portions of Iowa. And then as we get towards the overnight hours into portions here of southern Wisconsin, getting into lower Michigan now, so towards the Madison area, getting up towards Green Bay, and then down toward portions of Iowa. We still got that surface cold front that'll be dropping to the south here across these areas. Maybe some widely scattered showers and storms. Not looking at much of a severe weather threat as we head after midnight here, kind of losing the instability, losing all, a little bit of that low-level shear, even though we have a little bit of a stronger low-level jet pushing in. The low-level shear here is going to kind of weaken as this kind of drops more south out of those stronger westerlies in the jet stream that are more focused up here into the northern plains and the upper Midwest. So kind of a disorganized threat for severe weather, maybe an isolated stronger storm in southern Wisconsin here, but nothing too significant as we head through the overnight hours. And then as we head into tomorrow, you can see across those areas that I was showing with that 5%, marginal risk chance of severe weather across the Missouri Valley, could have some scattered showers and storms lighting up from portions of northwestern Ohio, getting into central portions there of Indiana, as well as south central Illinois around the Springfield area, down towards St. Louis, and then getting over towards and just south of Kansas City through the day tomorrow. So I do welcome everybody back to my live stream here today, just kind of covering some of the tropics, some of the severe weather. So if you do have any questions out there, I will be able to answer those. I'm probably going to be going live till about 5:30, 6 o'clock here, just kind of giving you a general outline of what to expect the next few days and the next several days through next weekend, as we do have another active storm track setting up, I think, across portions of the northern plains and especially the Midwest, the western and southern Great Lakes into the Ohio Valley, and then heading over towards the mid-Atlantic as we head especially towards the early and middle portion of next week, as we have a very strong ridge starting to develop here as well. So let me show you that. The European model has been very, very I think very good at discerning this, weather pattern across the United States. Let's show that here with the temperature contours here. You can see as we head through the rest of the day today, you have all that heat with that ridge really starting to expand here across portions of the central and southern plains, getting up toward the Missouri Valley, some 90s, even some lower 100s showing up from North Texas all the way up into portions of western Oklahoma into central and western Kansas. As we head through the day tomorrow as well, we'll have a little bit of that ridge start to broaden. We'll have the flattening of that ridge across portions here of the middle Missouri Valley with that cold front incoming here from the north. We have, some heat still across portions of North Texas towards the Wichita Falls area, Dallas, Fort Worth, getting over towards Texarkana. And you can see some cooler weather across portions of the southeast toward Florida, through the Carolinas and portions here of the Gulf Coast. That is due to some tropical rainfall across those areas, so you can expect some cooler weather. But with that cold front toward the Ohio Valley, ahead of that frontal boundary, you can expect some 90s, low to mid 90s at that across those areas on your Friday here as you head into tomorrow. And then as we head into Saturday, we'll start to have that high pressure system start to retreat and rebound more to the north and west, back toward the central southern plains. Still got some lower 100s as you move into West Texas, northern Texas, and portions of Oklahoma as well. And of course, you still got that really high heat across the Death Valley areas into Phoenix, portions there of Arizona, where you have the cooler weather across New Mexico, getting up towards the Denver area here in the lower elevations and the higher elevations as well. You have more of that monsoon weather across especially New Mexico continuing. And then just kind of a typical summer forecast with some higher heat across portions of the Ohio Valley, southeast as well. Some cooler weather is favored across portions here of the New England area, on up into the northern plains here in the Pacific Northwest from Seattle all the way down towards Portland on your Saturday afternoon, heading into the early portion of your holiday weekend with some middle to upper 60s for highs across the Pacific Northwest. Looking back across the northern plains, can expect some upper 70s, low 80s, and then across the New England area, some cooler than normal weather with the trough kind of continuing across those areas with middle 70s to low 80s expected across from portions here of Maine all the way down towards PA here and portions of down the spine of the Appalachians here as well. And then looking forward here towards the Sunday, getting closer to your July 4th holiday, we have that ridge again starting to build on your Sunday. Farther to the north, up towards portions here in Nebraska, the middle Missouri Valley, and we got that active storm track that'll really start to take shape here. Sunday is more of your transition day from the drier and kind of more quiet weather across the Midwest and the northern plains to more of the active weather here that'll start to set up here Sunday onward as we have kind of a series of mid-level disturbances that'll kind of round the northern periphery of this ridge here on the northern and northeastern side, and this will really start to take shape on Sunday, and I think really even amplify in intensity as we head into early next week here on your July 4th, and really even kind of extending in towards July 5th and 6th as well on your Tuesday and Wednesday next week, and I'll cover that here in a moment. And then looking at your July 4th forecast for high temperatures across the United States, you can expect some lower 100s widespread from western Kansas, central Kansas, down through portions here of Oklahoma City, Tulsa, getting down towards Woodward, Kansas, getting down toward portions here of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We could have high heat advisories. We could have excessive heat warnings being put into play across these areas, especially as you get down here into Oklahoma and to portions of north central and eastern Texas here. I do see a potential of some at least heat advisories being hoisted across these areas, if not high heat, excessive heat watches and warnings, especially from the Dallas-Fort Worth area up towards Texarkana, portions here of Tulsa, getting over towards Oklahoma City, Wichita Falls as you head into your July 4th day itself here on Monday, July 4th, with temperatures possibly even approaching or exceeding 105 in some localized spots near the Dallas-Fort Worth area, getting over towards portions of the Red River there, Wichita Falls, the Denton, the Denton, Texas area, over towards Texarkana as well. And then kind of looking one more day further here after your July 4th, you can see that ridge just really starts to, amplify, really starts to expand across portions of the Central Plains and across the Missouri Valley with widespread lower 100s and upper 90s across portions of Iowa, getting into Nebraska with those middle upper 90s. We could have 100-degree heat as far north here as Omaha, and we also have some lower 100s widespread from portions of Kansas City all the way down here towards Joplin, Missouri. Probably even the entire state, folks, of Oklahoma, probably in at least 100-degree heat here nearly everywhere you go here of that state, as well as down toward portions here of Texas as well. Dallas-Fort Worth could be around 105 for a second consecutive day as you head into your Tuesday as well. And let's kind of see, I'm interested to see if that actually does continue into your Wednesday. And yeah, into your Wednesday, Dallas-Fort Worth and down towards portions of Wichita Falls into Oklahoma, you could have several days in a row of, excessive heat warning criteria weather with heat advisories, excessive heat warnings, and you could definitely be seeing some widespread 100 to 105, maybe even up to 108 with the high temperatures across these areas as you head in towards portions here of next week. So that is some dangerous heat. So definitely want to make sure you have your air conditioning working. Clean out any air conditioning units here that are dirty to kind of make sure they work right. Also have plenty of ways to cool down here, whether you have cooling stations, the pool outside, you have sprinkler systems working outside here to run through, or just any way to cool off, because this is some extremely high heat, and this could be very dangerous here. Heat stroke is very dangerous. If you approach anybody that does have heat stroke across these areas, you'd want to call 911 immediately, because this is very dangerous weather with the high heat And all the heat stroke here, you have the sweating going on, the dizziness. You do not want to see that here with anybody. And if you are mowing across these areas, I know mowing kind of an outdoor activity. You do want to kind of limit that activity to early morning or later in the evening if you can, after the sun goes down, because that is kind of, I know it'll still be hot around those times, but not nearly as hot as what it would be around peak heating. So that is definitely something to keep in mind here as well. Heat stroke is a very serious illness, and you definitely want to take care of it as soon as possible, and get some cool weather, cooler, locations to go to or to cool off. A pool, like I said, the sprinklers, or even just going into air conditioning here as well will definitely help that risk. So definitely check on the elderly and also your pet friends. Your cats, your dogs. You don't want to leave them outside here unabated as well, as that pavement temperature could also get very hot as well. For their paws and just in general with all the fur they have. So definitely kind of check on your pets, check on your neighbors, check on your elderly here, loved ones as well, as this is some high heat, and that is nothing to play around with across, especially the central and southern plains on over towards, the mid-Missouri Valley, heading in through much of next week. So that is something to watch. So like I said, heat advisories are probably certainly guaranteed across at least Oklahoma and Texas, maybe over towards portions of Kansas and Arkansas, Louisiana, these areas. Excessive heat warnings are possible. I'd say about a 50 to maybe 60% chance, in my opinion, of these being hoisted over the next few days for next week. So definitely be on the lookout for that. If you are an excessive heat warning, even if you're an excessive heat advisory, I mean, treat this like it is an excessive heat warning, because uh, these alerts are for to help you to make sure you have more awareness of the heat related illnesses out there, and that you could, if you have anybody working outside, roofing, siding houses, anything like that, mowing, any lawn mowing businesses, definitely want to keep an eye on that. Have extra ways to get water across these areas here. That will be very helpful as we head towards next week. Now let's kind of look at enough of the heat talk. Let's kind of look at the storm chances as we head into next week. And this is a very active weather pattern, like I said, rounding that northern part of that ridge and moving across the Midwest, the Great Lakes, into the Ohio Valley here. We'll look at multiple models here to kind of see where the consistency is and where some of the discrepancies and differences are here in the model. So let's start with the European. This is an operational global weather forecasting model. Very reliable. I know a lot of meteorologists out there do like using this European model, as it has had a lot of high, high percentage looks at a lot of these systems here. Very reliable, consistent model most of the time, and it can be very helpful in kind of looking at the longer range weather forecast here through the next, this goes out 240 hours. Of course, we won't look out that long, but we'll look kind of into the medium range to kind of see what we're looking at here across that period. Yes, Snowy, as you said, you don't have any air conditioning. Well, I mean, if you are in southeastern Canada, you probably won't have that high heat, especially like you see down into the central and southern plains in the U.S. But you still have to watch it. I mean, there will be some heat across southeastern Canada. I have no doubt. As we get farther into summer, this heat will just expand. I think the time for heat in southeastern Canada will be coming later into July and August. You'll be sweating it out up there into southeastern Canada with all those 90s, maybe even 100s up into your area as well. So definitely, if you don't have air conditioning, I do consider getting at least window air conditioners or something to cool off. Because like I said, Snowy, this heat will definitely be coming your way here in the next several weeks. The dog days of summer are coming up into August here for the United States, and in short order here in the next month or so. So definitely want to have ways to cool off. But like I said, over here, kind of the storm track here across the United States. This is the 12Z run of the European model. This is the ECMWF. This is also called the European model. Looking here at the rest of today, we got that frontal boundary moving to the south across the Wisconsin area, down through southeastern Minnesota, into northern Iowa here with that severe weather, the marginal to slight risk zones across those areas. And then as we drop down here to the south here through the overnight hours through tomorrow morning, that frontal boundary will start to slowly sag its way southward through the Illinois Valley, getting into the portions of the middle Missouri Valley around Kansas City, portions of Kansas, getting over towards central Illinois during this period. Maybe some spotty, isolated to widely scattered severe weather here, and kind of looking more at the the jet stream, we have a little bit of the southern end of that westerlies and the upper levels of the jet stream kind of pushing down into this region, supporting the threat for some organized updrafts capable of some severe weather. The large hail and the large hail, the damaging winds. The tornado risk not looking too extreme as we have a lot of lower end wind shear kind of closer to that high pressure system building across the southern plains. But nevertheless, damaging winds and large hail here is definitely a threat, and that could be dangerous here as well. Let's kind of go back here to the kind of the radar look at this. And you can see not really looking at everybody. So not everybody will be seeing this threat here for severe weather. No, not everybody will be getting under a shower or storm, but just know that if you're in Kansas, Missouri, downstate Illinois, getting across the Ohio Valley into portions here of the Northeast, the southern Great Lakes, the southeastern Great Lakes, as we head into your Friday afternoon tomorrow, we could have some scattered, stronger storms in some of these zones across these areas as we head through the day tomorrow. And then looking overnight here on Saturday, pretty quiet. We got some popcorn storms starting to fire up here across most of the southeast here from the lower Ohio Valley, getting in through here portions of the Tennessee Valley and the southeast here. We got all the tropical feed of moisture here pushing still into Texas and portions here, should I say coastal Texas rather, into portions here of Louisiana and the Gulf Coast into Florida as we head towards the Saturday afternoon time frame. We got the monsoon weather continuing here, especially into New Mexico, getting into southern Colorado during this period as well. And then here we have that active northwesterly flow as I go back to the jet stream here, the 250 millibar winds. This is looking to the upper levels here, the westerlies in the jet stream. More of a zonal flow across portions here of the upper Midwest into the Great Lakes here. Some stronger enhanced upper level winds here across the lower Michigan, getting over toward the southern Great Lakes during that period. And that could enhance some severe weather, like I said, across the portions of the I-95 corridor from New York City on up towards Boston. We definitely could have some severe weather. The Storm Prediction Center has hoisted that slight risk across those areas because you have the signal for some thunderstorms here. You got the stronger winds here kind of pushing into those zones here with the organizing updrafts across those areas. So we could have a higher end, relatively speaking, higher end severe weather potential along the I-95 corridor relative to what you've had this year as we head in toward your Saturday. And I do see some potential that this could be upgraded, potentially a low chance, but this could be upgraded to a level 3 enhanced risk along the I-95 corridor if we have some of these stronger, more enhanced mid-level and upper-level westerlies kind of pushing into the jet stream into those areas. And then as you see across the West Coast, you have that ridge starting to develop here. High pressure system centered across portions of the desert southwest in towards Texas with all that heat building through the weekend. And along in the northern periphery of that, we're starting to see a little bit more of amplification across the Intermountain West. And that will be the start of a very active end of the weekend into next week here as we have an MCS pattern starting to develop, a mesoscale convective systems here as we like to call it, but in short called MCSs. These are storm complexes that kind of ride along the northern and northeastern periphery here of these stronger high ridges, these stronger high pressure systems that develop, and definitely have to watch that. Let's kind of go back to the radar feed of this of the European model. As we head towards Sunday, we do have some storms during the morning hours here before dawn. We could have potentially some thunderstorms, maybe a strong storm embedded with us here across the Missouri Valley, but kind of an unfavorable time of day, as you can see up here around 4 a.m. in the morning here on your July 3rd into Sunday morning. The frontal boundary will be continuing to push off to the east here, kind of washing out across the East Coast. And then as we head into Sunday afternoon, the Storm Prediction Center has hoisted, like I said, that marginal risk of severe weather from most of North Dakota into northern South Dakota here. This may expand farther to the south into South Dakota in their next update. We'll have to see if that happens. Nevertheless, though, we do have a chance for some isolated strong to severe storms. Peak heating of the day about 4 o'clock in the afternoon on your July 3rd up toward the Dakotas. We could have some isolated to widely scattered showers and storms developing. There has been a signal within some of the guidance, especially the mesoscale guidance we'll go over here in just a moment, of an MCS starting to develop, kind of a loosely organized MCS across the Dakotas. So the potential is there on Sunday for even an upgrade to a slight risk across portions of the Dakotas, especially South Dakota and North Dakota, as we head into your Sunday afternoon and evening. And then we still have that feed of that, tropical monsoonal weather across portions of New Mexico, getting up through Colorado in this model run. Some popcorn type storms here for your Sunday afternoon. If you have any firework plans here for your Sunday evening, you should be good across most of the southeast here, as the storms will really start to kind of fizzle out here with the waning of the instability into the afternoon hours, and still some active weather with an active northern jet stream across portions of the Pacific Northwest toward the northern plains and parts of the upper Midwest heading into your Sunday evening. Now here's where things get interesting. Let's go back to the jet stream here across the European model. We have a very strong upper level jet starting to punch in from the north and west, kind of getting into the the west northwesterly pattern here in the mid levels and the upper levels. And this is kind of looking for a strong ridge that is developing across portions of the south central plains. You have a lot of subsidence across this area. You have a lot of sinking air. You don't have a lot of rising air, so you're not going to have a lot of cloud cover. So underneath this ridge, you're going to have a lot of sunshine and a lot of heat. So that's what I said. You have the heat advisories and all those excessive heat warnings. Looking off to the west coast, now this is very, very important in looking downstream at the severe weather potential next week. You kind of have to put all the puzzles and kind of the details together. We have a very strong trough kind of digging into the Pacific Northwest right off the coast here of Washington and Oregon here as we head in towards your late Sunday evening into Monday morning. And now how this is important is that this trough will actually amplify the western part of this ridge even further across the Intermountain West into portions here of the Central Plains, which is the reason why it's important. Is when this ridge starts to amplify across portions of the Intermountain West and then across the central and southern plains, that will force the active storm track farther to the north here into the northern plains, the Midwest, especially the upper Midwest, and then getting down here towards the Great Lakes and even into portions here of the southern Great Lakes toward the Chicagoland area as we head towards Monday. And this will continue as we head really in toward Monday itself, as we have that trough kind of meandering around the Pacific Northwest, and that will play a very important role in kind of the positioning of the ridge and the trough kind of fighting each other off across the Intermountain West, with that ridge centered across the southeast and southern plains and central plains here at times. That active storm track will remain across the north here on your Monday afternoon. So looking at the radar, looking at the radar animation of this, the European model has been very consistent over the last few days of providing for an MCS developing, a couple of them, potentially one up towards portions here of North Dakota, and then another one developing somewhere around the Midwest. There are still differences within the models. We'll kind of go over that here in just a moment. But the European is showing an MCS developing across Iowa, getting into southern Minnesota, southwestern Wisconsin, diving southeast along the instability gradient. We're going to have a lot of instability growing, some strong instability, probably over 2,000 or even over 3,000 joules per kilogram, which is 3 times what you need for severe weather, as you can have severe weather really honestly at 500 joules per kilogram. If you have enough wind shear, you can have severe thunderstorms in 500 joule per kilogram type of environment, although marginally supportive here of severe weather. But the higher potential instability you have, as it kind of rides this instability gradient that it looks to set up here with kind of a stationary boundary or kind of a warm front starting to lift to the north here slowly, we do have kind of a concern for the potential of MCS complexes developing in kind of a parade fashion here across the Midwest, down through portions of the southern and western Great Lakes, including the Chicagoland area, Des Moines, Iowa, getting up towards Rochester, Minnesota, Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin. And depending on how strong this ridge is, we could have the potential of, some derecho potential. I hate to say derecho potential here because it's so far out, but the potential definitely is there for derechos as we head into next week with all that heat. And then you look at that, another MCS here continuing to kind of dive southeast, another robust MCS developing across eastern Montana into the western Dakotas as we head toward the middle of next week. That will dive down, maybe an MCV developing off that, which is also called a mesoscale convective vortex. And then this will start to drop southeast here with another mesoscale convective system toward the Chicagoland area during the middle portion of next week sometime. And that process will just continue. Another MCS will develop in towards portions of the north central plains toward the mid-Missouri Valley and drop east-southeast here along that gradient as we head toward late next week. So we could have multiple opportunities for some active storm clusters with some active severe weather potential through much of next week, increasing here as we head especially in towards that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday time frame. But even Monday, July 4th, definitely have to watch that here as some of the guidance, at least on the European model, is showing that. Let's kind of move over to the GFS here, because the GFS is also an operational model that is very reliable sometimes as well. And you can see during that period, we got that front moving to the south that I was talking about earlier. And then as we head towards that Monday time frame, the GFS has kind of actually backed off the latest 18Z run on the MCS across portions of the middle Missouri Valley. That is good news for severe weather, but we'll still have to watch it here as it was showing a very robust MCS here days ago, but still has the potential of that active storm track residing across the generally same area that the European model was showing across portions here of the northern plains, getting into portions here of the upper Mississippi Valley and portions of the southern Great Lakes toward the Ohio Valley as well. And that just continues here all the way through the next week here as well, and maybe seeing some differences longer range here toward the medium and end range here portion of the GFS with regards to how far north or south that frontal boundary, the stationary boundary, does kind of waver. But the potential flavor is there for more MCSs and or derecho potential across these areas. Now, looking at the jet stream here on the 250 millibar for the GFS, a little more amplified with this ridge across this area. So we'll definitely have to watch that. You can see the thermodynamics. The temperatures are very robust. Early on in the week, the GFS here for your Monday is showing a lot of heat, like I was saying, across the central and southern plains. And then starting to build on Tuesday here across most of the southeast here with those popcorn type storms across the southeast. You got the active storm track across the northern plains into the portion of the western Great Lakes. And then you have that just active storm track continuing here along the northern and northeastern periphery of all this heat as we head into the next, several days, especially as we get through next week. So let's kind of look here in the live chat. Anybody has questions, I'll definitely be able to answer those here regarding the tropical weather. I know it's kind of started off with tropical weather in this live stream update, and then I kind of transitioned more to the severe weather potential for next week, as I think it is very important because this severe weather potential could impact a lot of people as we head into next week. So I did want to kind of, cover that as we're kind of getting a little bit ahead of the game here to kind of keep everybody safe and ahead of all the storms as we head through next week. So if you have any questions, do drop them in the chat. I'll be able to answer these here right now. So if you have any questions about anything, I'll definitely be able to answer those. Also, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so. I do upload, daily weather forecast updates mostly every single day around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning Central Daylight Time. This includes, 2 weeks ahead of time. I kind of give you kind of the general outline of all, the 2-week period with the longer range forecast, sometimes longer, sometimes not. But then generally kind of through the week, a 7-day period of, overall, if we have severe weather around, all this heat, the tropical weather, I cover it all across portions here of the summer. And even into the winter months, I cover a lot of, winter storms, ice storms, snowstorms, all of the whole 9 yards from coast to coast here from the Pacific to the Atlantic to the Gulf, all the way up to into portions of southeastern Canada. So I cover that. So if you do want to subscribe, I definitely encourage you to do so. And also tell family and friends about this channel. Turn all your notifications on when I do these live streams, because I will be doing more live streams during all this active severe weather next week across these areas if they do, warrant so, as we head through portions of the Midwest and the Ohio Valley. So looking here at the chat, let's see. Cam, will it flood in Florida in St. Petersburg in September? Or you mean St. Petersburg? Is that what you mean? St. Petersburg in September? The September's long. I mean, we're only, July starts tomorrow. I mean, I can't completely tell you, September you're going to have flooding in St. Petersburg. However, I was looking over the longer range guidance, and the trend is for more tropical activity across the Gulf and the Atlantic during the end of summer and getting into early fall. So toward the October, September, October, November months, definitely very active here, tropical weather, potentially around the Florida area, potentially into the Gulf, and then up the East Coast here. So that'll be something to watch if you do live in Florida, not just St. Petersburg, but everywhere along the East Coast and down through Florida. definitely something to watch with that tropical weather moving forward. So I hope that I answered your question there about all that tropical weather. So if anybody else has any questions, I'll definitely be able to answer those, as I will probably be live till about 6 o'clock or thereafter. Otherwise, if I don't have any questions, I'll kind of wrap this up after the severe weather talk here, looking at some of the other models. Looking at the CMC here, this was earlier today, kind of the general flavor. Let's look at the radar during late Monday. This actually shows a strong, fast-moving MCS, which is indicative potentially of a derecho. Like I said, I don't like using the terminology derecho a lot because it is rare. Derechos are not common, but the potential is there. I mean, if you look at the 250 millibar winds, we have strong westerlies and northwesterly wind flow across the northern periphery of this ridge of high pressure to the south, and that does kind of open the door to a kind of a classic ring of fire pattern, which could produce these things, which are more conducive to very high wind events, and then if they're long lived enough, could become derechos. So that'll be something to monitor as we head into next week. But I'm not guaranteeing a derecho will happen, but nevertheless, we do have to watch the potential of more MCSs. Again, you can see that parade of MCS potential really in that kind of mostly that same zone I was showing you going all the way through next weekend here as well. And let's kind of go back to the European. This is what the European model is spitting out for rainfall all the way through from this weekend all the way through next weekend here. And you can expect a general heavier rainfall setting up from Iowa, southern Minnesota into the northern plains, all the way down through northern and central Illinois, into the Ohio Valley here, where some of these areas do need it as some drought is starting to develop. I just looked at the latest drought monitor. I guess we could look at that as well. But we do have, abnormally dry weather continuing to develop, and then the moderate drought starting to continue to develop across eastern Illinois, western portions of Indiana, and across portions of the Ohio Valley as well. So that will be beneficial for some of those areas. Let's see here. And then looking at the GFS, also kind of the general flavor. The GFS has been kind of goofy lately. It's been kind of shifting the storm track farther north and then farther south. So I'm kind of disregarding this model, but generally the flavor is there, I guess, for some heavy rainfall, but the kind of inconsistent. The CMC, the Canadian model, as we call it, and the European have been most consistently showing a same corridor of storm track across portions of the northern plains, dropping through northern and central Illinois and Iowa, southern Wisconsin, and towards the Ohio Valley, around the outer end of this heat wave. So we'll have to watch that. Snowy says, when will I see my first storm? Well, I mean, it's very hard to say exactly when you will have your first storm. It looks like this time around, I think it still really honestly depends on the amplification of the ridge, how far north it moves. But as I see it now, is that the active storm track looks to hold across the northern plains, the western and southern Great Lakes, and then diving down to the southeast. So just to your southwest, that active storm track will be. However, any small 100-mile deviation in this here into next week could make all the difference between a thunderstorm for you, Snowies, or nothing. So I mean, there still is a difference there. But we'll just have to continue to monitor it. But right now, my thinking is the Canadian model and the European are very consistent and very pretty much in the same area. And I think consistency is your friend here. Trends are your friend, as I call it. And these are trending more towards those active storm tracks setting up across these areas here that I'm showing you now across the European model. So generally, maybe some rainfall up into southeastern Canada, but not expecting a whole heck of a lot through next weekend across those areas at all. So let's kind of look at some of the ensembles, if you will. Let's kind of look at the ensembles here. And if you look at the 250 millibar winds with even the ensembles here through next week, you can see the general flavor still there. You got the stronger southern westerlies, southern end of those westerlies moving in here to portions of the storm track area, which will, foster the threat of organized updrafts. And then you also have the threat as well of that, strong instability starting to push up here, kind of getting closer to the stronger, wind shear across portions of the middle Missouri Valley. So that's why when you combine both the wind shear and the stronger instability, you get some stronger weather across those areas. And that's what I'll be watching watching. I'll have many more daily video updates for this here moving forward as we head towards, tomorrow and through the weekend as well. I might take a couple days off this weekend here, probably have maybe July 4th off unless it's kind of an emergency severe weather update. If anything big happens, then I will obviously be doing an update then. But I might take a day or so off here this weekend. Got some outdoor activities I'll be doing here for the July 4th weekend. Otherwise, I'll be doing videos daily here. Like I said, uploading those around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning for you guys here for the short, medium, and long range type of weather forecast for you guys moving forward. So I do appreciate everybody joining me here as well on the live stream. I do appreciate that very much. You guys are awesome out there. If you haven't subscribed, definitely subscribe to my channel here. Like I said, I do those longer range weather forecast updates. I look at the short range, the medium range, the whole 9 yards. So I will be doing that for you here in this weeks, the days, weeks, months to come. And I hope to do it for years to come as well. So that is something definitely to be looking forward to. Yeah, for sure, Snowies. Yeah, definitely enjoy the weather while you can. That is no joke. Yeah, the weather is interesting. That's why I got into it. Weather has always been interesting for me. I think, I used to live in Naples, Florida, and I had hurricanes where I lived a couple times. I went through 3 hurricanes. The worst one that I went through was Charlie, and that one did bring a lot of wind with it and a lot of rainfall with it. But more so the wind. I mean, there was a mobile home park that I lived by. I lived in a condo type area near the beach there in Naples, and there's this mobile home park next door, and with all the wind there, it ripped the roofs off the mobile homes. But thankfully, the people that lived in those mobile homes actually evacuated ahead of the hurricane. So that was some good news. So no injuries or fatalities with that. But it does prove to show you that, even a lower end, hurricane can still produce a lot of damage. I mean, even just with the wind or the storm surge or even the, flooding rains. So, and really even a tropical storm could still do that, same type of characteristic as well. So that is definitely something not to laugh at. I mean, tropical depressions could even look at coastal Texas right now, coastal Louisiana. I mean, these guys have gotten half a foot of rain, and it's only, a very weak system. So it does just prove to show that you don't need a major system to produce major impacts across any of the Gulf Coast, the Atlantic, or really anywhere in the tropics here at any point. So definitely something to consider there. Yeah, Snowies. I got to witness a lot of good storms for sure. Once I moved up to the Midwest, kind of got away from the hurricanes. Hurricanes can't come up to the Midwest. Of course, you still can get some remnant tropical moisture from those hurricanes if they move up through the Western Gulf or the Central Gulf and then move inland into the southern United States. You can kind of get some remnant tropical moisture all the way up here into the Midwest. But it is, even for that, it's still tough to do, and it has to take the right track for it to do so. And the worst we get usually are tornadoes and derechos. Derechos is a new term since we're talking about the potential for those developing potentially next week or even really any time in the summer. Derechos can happen any time of the year. You can have derechos in January. You can have derechos in June. You can have derechos in November, December. I mean, it does not matter. It just has to be the right type of pattern. Now, the progressive derechos, there's 2 types of derechos here. And let me see, I don't think I have the graphic, but there's 2 types of derechos. One type is called serial derechos, which are usually weaker derechos here, relatively speaking. And then there's progressive derechos, and these are the ones we're watching for next week. We got a progressive pattern here along the northern periphery of this heat, and those are the ones that progressive. Progressive means to move forward. So if you literally think about it, progressive derechos are fast-moving windstorms that can produce a lot of damage over a large amount of real estate and cause a lot of damage, a lot of, property damage, a lot of tree damage, and, a lot of chaos here. If you remember back, I think yesterday was the anniversary of the 2012 derecho. That they call it the North American derecho in the 2012. Started into portions of Iowa and northern Illinois and dove all the way through the Ohio Valley and into portions of the Mid-Atlantic, producing winds estimated around 100 plus miles an hour, millions of dollars and millions of dollars worth of damage, tons of people out, millions of people without power. There's a big heat wave during 2012. I know 2012 was a very hot year across the United States, so all those people just think you had to live without all the air conditioning for that time with all the power out. But looking through next week, we have that pattern along the northern periphery of that, moving across the northern plains, getting through the Midwest here and the central Great Lakes with all the stronger winds, and around that ridge of high pressure, definitely got to watch out for some severe weather. And this model here showing the potential here of the MCSs. Look at the parade of short waves here moving across portions of the southwestern Canada, across southern portions of Canada here, back towards Saskatchewan, diving down through Alberta and into portions of the Dakotas, diving around that high pressure system here into the Midwest during that period. The GEFS. For some reason, I have a lot of trouble pronouncing this here at one time, but definitely you can see here the flavor is there. You know what I do find very interesting, however, is that the GEFS, its ensemble, this is the GFS's ensemble, and it is actually showing a stronger signal for MCS than the operational GFS itself. So that's why I think the GFS is just goofy. I did hear something about an upgrade potentially coming. I don't know if it's this year or not, but to the GFS model, and a new hurricane model is actually going to be uncovered as well, kind of unveiled, I think, either next year or in 2024, if I remember correctly. A brand new hurricane model is going to be coming out, and that'll be very good news for hurricane forecasting. More reliable model, hopefully, to start looking at for that. So I'm very excited about that as well. I was just reading about that just the other day, so that is interesting as well. Let's see here. So yeah, if anybody has questions, do feel free to answer those in the chat. To ask those in the chat. See, I'm already getting tired, everybody. No, but do feel free to ask them in the chat here over the next few minutes. I'll be answering those. Otherwise, I'll probably start to wrap this up here rather soon. Looking at the GEPS, which is also another ensemble, the GFS as well, showing that signal for the MCSs and that pattern really across those same areas. So that is something to watch as well. Ontario needs to update their radar badly. Yeah, I haven't seen their radar. Why is it fuzzy or something? Is that why, or is it just kind of lower grade? You don't have a lot of. There's always improvement, even in the U.S. here, not just Canada, not just any country out there. The U.S. always improving their meteorology, improving their severe weather forecasting. Like I said, derechos are a relatively new term. Not a lot of people know about these things. And we're trying to, all these people on YouTube here doing what I do, and also the meteorologists on TVs out there, are all trying to raise awareness of these things because they are very dangerous and can catch people off guard. They move very quickly. They produce a lot of wind in a short amount of time, and they can, catch people off guard. And they're relatively new term that, like I said, not a lot of people know of. So that is something that we're trying to raise awareness about, and kind of getting more data about these. We've only known about derechos really in the meteorological community and scientific community really for the better half of a century. 100 years is not a lot of study on derechos. You have to get a significant amount of climatology with these things to really know what they do, because we've studied tornadoes for several years, for a long time, well over 100 years, going back to the 1700s. And but records didn't really start to the 1800s, but there was tornadoes well before then here. I know that for a fact. But really derechos weren't even a sight in anybody's eyes back into the 1700s and 1800s. I'm sure they happened, but that wasn't a term. So that is something very interesting that I thought about as well. Let's see here. It will show it's heavily storming over me, but there won't be a cloud in the sky. Well, that might be sometimes depending on in Ontario, Snowies, if the radar site is close to you. Now, if Toronto has a radar site in the city of Toronto, there definitely will be kind of some noise, as they call it, some kind of contamination of the radar, and it kind of be showing all this fuzziness around, and it could look like, storms and severe weather, but it really isn't. It could be just bugs, it could be birds. I mean, it could just be noise from the radar. So, I mean, so that could be the issue, what you're talking about. Depending on if the radar site is based out of Toronto, because I know you said you live near Toronto, but not in Toronto. So, that could be the issue with that. I do believe so. That is a high probability that is the case. But I do appreciate you kind of bringing that up. Now let's look at the mesoscale here. Okay, wow. Okay, so the GEM model is a decent mesoscale that I like to look at. We got that boundary moving to the south here as we head here through the next few days, through the early portion of the weekend. And it is showing a signal. Like I said, this is where I'm seeing the potential, and I quote the word potential strongly, of a MCS developing, and the potential for the SPC, or the Storm Prediction Center, to upgrade portions of the Dakotas, especially into North Dakota here, to a slight risk as we head towards Sunday. Now, will it happen? I'm not sure. I don't work for the SPC. I do not. I wish to one day. That would be nice, but I do not. I do not do any of those forecasts for them. But I do think the potential is there, just looking at some of this, and we could have a stronger MCS kind of complex moving into western portions there of Minnesota as we head into the overnight period here, heading into Monday morning, July 4th. So that is something to watch to see if we have any trends in that the next several days. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Like I said, I do these live streams to benefit you guys here the most. I look at these weather forecasts. I mean, I look at models endlessly throughout the day. I mean, I am a model freak when it looks to weather, weather computer models. I look at these things endlessly through the day, trying to put the puzzles and, puzzle pieces together, saying, okay, maybe this storm here will kind of dive southeast. Maybe look at all of the aspects of the weather, the instability, the wind shear, the temperature profiles from the surface all the way up into the upper levels and the mid levels, looking at the moisture content from the dew points at the surface, all the way to the dew points that are into portions here, the 850 millibar layer into the mid levels and the upper levels as well, and looking at just tons of things to kind of put together a forecast. Very difficult, and meteorology it has a lot to do with numbers and numerical data, and that is definitely something that, like I said, is improving, but is not there yet. I don't think we'll ever be there, at least in my lifetime. I mean, we're always going to be studying some new things that happen, odd things in the weather that just, people are, mysterious about. You don't know about it. And, sometimes it catches people off guard, even us meteorologists. So that is definitely something to monitor. I do like I do appreciate everybody liking this live stream down below, and I do appreciate everybody that has subscribed to my YouTube channel as well. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Just getting me closer to 200, so thank you very much for doing so. And anybody else that hasn't subscribed yet, please do subscribe, as I will be doing daily weather forecast updates through the next several weeks, months, years ahead. So definitely appreciate that. And if you haven't already, drop a like down here to the live stream. I definitely appreciate that as well. If you like this live stream and the interaction here that I provide with you, then definitely leave your like down below. And also, like I said, subscribe to my YouTube channel as well, as I'll be doing these daily daily live streams as they warrant, as we have a lot of active severe weather here moving forward. Like I said, looking at this GEM model, the potential is there for a forward propagating MCS developing across the Midwest here during this time frame, so we'll have to watch that. Let's kind of look over towards this is the FV3 high res. Now you can see this is kind of a high resolution model. You have a little bit, it's actually showing an MCS developing across portions of the Middle Missouri Valley around Kansas City. during the Saturday afternoon, morning into the afternoon time frame. So that is interesting here. And a lot of the times when you have global models and then when you kind of get down to the mesoscale models, things change. I mean, they could enhance the instability kind of because global models are looking globally. I mean, these mesoscale or what they call CAMs, convective allowing models, kind of look more down toward the surface, kind of looking at kind of the instability across those areas and kind of more of the atmosphere of what it's thinking during that time frame. Something definitely to monitor. So let's see. So if anybody has any questions, I definitely can answer those here in the chat. I will definitely have to show you how inaccurate it is and why I come to you guys. Yeah, I mean, I do appreciate Snowies very much. I mean, you are awesome. You are, awesome in the chat, being interactive. I do appreciate people like you being very interactive. Do never hesitate to ask a question. No question is stupid, and I think every question is very, very intelligent. So do ask any questions here, as I will keep you out of harm's way all the way through the rest of the season here, and even into the winter months. I do ice storm forecasts, winter storm forecasts, snowstorm, all that type stuff. I was actually thinking about doing a kind of a ski forecast for like skiing and kind of like a avalanche forecasts, whether or not have an avalanche, all that type of stuff. Kind of doing more research on that to provide more accurate weather forecasts for that as well, across especially into the winter months. Kind of moving forward as well with that. So that is something that and I'm also, anybody that's in the live stream, I'm actually thinking about actually will be doing another channel. I'll be adding another channel to my arsenal as we head in toward the summer and early fall. I'll be doing a sports channel. This for the NFL, the NBA, and Major League Baseball and college football, and doing kind of betting and predictions here, kind of game score predictions, and kind of looking through that, dissecting injuries, the injury report, and all that here. So if you are interested in a sports channel, I'll definitely be providing you with that as well as we get closer to the NFL season. I know I'm getting ready to unveil the week 1 NFL season schedule. So once I get that channel up and running and added to the arsenal here, I'll definitely be doing that here probably later in July or early August. So do be on the lookout for a new channel there as well, as I will be doing that. If anybody is interested, I'll be doing weekly updates. I know a lot about the NFL. I've been watching NFL football since I was little, and I definitely know a lot about predicting NFL. So if you have any, prediction apps that I could help you with predicting games, or if you have like fun with, your family members saying, "Oh, I think this team will win," then yeah, I will be your guy because I know a lot about that, and I actually calculated over the last 4 years my accuracy rate of predicting games in the NFL, and that is actually up to 82.6%. So very good at predicting games in the NFL. So that is something to note as well. So if you are interested in that, I'll also have a sports channel on here as well that you can subscribe to once I get it up and running later this summer and into early this fall. So I definitely appreciate that. Oh, let's see here. So thank you to everybody who has subscribed to my channel. I'm up to 137 subscribers now. Like I said, my new goal is 200, so please help me out and get in there. I hope to get to 200 by July 4th. I know that's coming up rather quickly, but that would be nice. Thank you for everybody liking my live stream as well. I'm going to be doing more of these coming up here as well. Like I said, the high resolution model showing some storms developing here across the Dakotas into southern Canada as we head towards Saturday evening. That'll be something to monitor as well. And like I said, if I may be doing another live stream here tomorrow as well, so do turn on all notifications as I may be updating this here as well, kind of updating you on the tropics, updating you on the severe weather potential for next week on a live stream type of mode as we head into tomorrow, or heading into early next week as well. So thanks for everybody for watching. Again, this is the Storm Prediction Center's outlook for today. We have a slight risk across the UP of Michigan, down through north central Wisconsin, southeastern Minnesota, northeastern portions there of Iowa, marginal risk extending all the way down to the Central Plains, including Nebraska, the Omaha area, down toward portions of Kansas, eastern Colorado. You got 2% tornado risk here today from portions of UP of Michigan down through northern Wisconsin around the Eau Claire area, La Crosse, Wisconsin, Rochester, Minnesota, getting down toward Waterloo, Iowa. And then you have that wind risk here kind of going along with that marginal slight risk zone from that 5% in the marginal risk to a 15% chance of damaging winds of around 60 miles per hour plus in that slight risk. And then that smaller hail risk here with that 5% here into the Midwest and that 15% up towards the UP of Michigan and in northern Wisconsin. This is the outlook here for tomorrow. We got the slight risk across portions of southwestern South Dakota, northwestern Nebraska, getting into eastern and northeastern Wyoming. A couple boundaries moving to the south with some marginal severe weather there as well tomorrow. And then as we head into your Saturday, a slight risk, which I think could be upgraded to an enhanced risk. We'll have to see how that works out, but right now a slight risk across portions of the I-95 corridor from portions of Boston down through New York City and into eastern portions there of Pennsylvania, including Philadelphia and Baltimore, as we head into your Saturday afternoon into your July 4th weekend. So thank you everybody for watching, and I'll have another update video here tomorrow morning regarding the severe weather, the tropics, the heat, all the 9 yards on that. And also have potentially another live stream tomorrow afternoon and early evening regarding the severe weather here as well. So turn on all the notifications, let family, friends know. And if you haven't added me on Twitter or followed me on Twitter, you can do so there at HWeather, capital H Weather 420, capital H Weather 420 on my Twitter as well, or Weather on the Go. You can see my emblem there as well, and follow me on Twitter here as I post, photos and updates on weather on there as well. So thank you very much for watching, and everybody have a great Thursday evening out there, and I hope you have a great and wonderful rest of your week.